Okay, on the ICICI Bank subject now, the decision of ICICI Bank's board has raised more questions than answers, it seems. First, it keeps the door open for Chanda Kochhar if she absolved of all charges. Also, the appointment of Bakshi as the chief operating officer is pretty unlikely to be taken by the executive directors, including the independent directors of the bank. So here's Nirmalya Kumar, who believes that this is a clear case of social fundamentalists or other fundamentals and the CEO exhibiting power in her right.
Even this move is half-hearted from my perspective at best, because it shows a very powerful CEO, a subservient board, a chairman who's really not the chairman of the board in the sense of what a chairman of the board is supposed to do, and a statement that has been crafted to say she has decided to leave, go on leave, and whenever it fancies her, she'll probably come back because it's her decision to go on leave and it's her decision probably to come back. And I think this is really, goes to the heart of corporate governance. If we can't trust our independent directors to do their job, which is to act as a brake on the management, act as a brake on the promoters, we don't need independent directors. This is the knee-jerk reaction of boards, is that they immediately close ranks behind the CEO if it's a diversified corporation and behind the promoter if it's a promoter-led company. And the reason why this is happening more frequently in India, and the reason I give is because the elites in India are very interconnected. So there's a lot of social capital that is at risk. So if you are part of this club where you are on the board and you have access to powerful promoters and powerful CEOs, one of the rules of being an insider is that you cannot criticize other insiders.
Very interesting opinion there. Krishnan ASV, who's lead analyst banking and financial services at SBICAP, joins in with his take on this development. Krishnan, so far all the brokerage calls that we've received indicate that this is a breather. At least there's some communication that's come in directly, official communication that's come in from the board on the leadership transition. Would you have liked if they had come out and said that Ms. Kochhar's leave terminates at this point and Sandeep Bakshi takes over as CEO? Would that sort of communication have been something that the markets would have taken on board more than just saying, okay, she's on leave till the inquiry gets over and Sandeep Bakshi is COO in the interim?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on the show. While that may have been the ideal situation, I think that was also wishful thinking on our part. I certainly believe that the board has stuck to a middle ground, which was probably the most logical, most practical solution that they could think of. To the extent that there is no incremental information between end of March 2018 and now, there is no evidence that warrants Ms. Chanda Kochhar to step down. To that extent, as I said, this was probably half-hearted, as one of your earlier speakers said, but in my mind, it was also probably one of the most practical things to do.
But Krishnan, would you say that the street would perhaps heave a sigh of relief that there is an interim CEO who is in place, who is able, and up until the inquiry is on, Chanda Kochhar is in any case is going to step out and she will continue on her annual leave. So maybe some cleanup action can transpire within that time frame. Some stability, some reassurance could come back to stakeholders and shareholders.
Yeah, so that will depend on how the external probe moves forward. I mean, anything that helps, clean up the bank and its past and its legacy, even if that means an external probe was to give the incumbent MD a clean sheet, even that would be, construed as a big positive. Investors like certainty. So to that extent, anything that gives you more clarity, gives you more certainty will be most welcome.
Okay, so we will be discussing
the chief operating officer designations notwithstanding.
No. Having said that, I was just wanting to switch gears and talk to you about how you're looking at the parallel stories between Axis Bank and ICICI Bank, and where is there more conviction building to your mind in terms of the fact that both of them have been bothered a lot by the same set of issues and have been ranked underperformers in the private banking space. In the leadership transition, how do you compare the two stories, and where are you more bullish?
So we have a more constructive view on Axis Bank compared to ICICI Bank. We're generally constructive on all corporate lenders. We believe earnings catalyst will play out in FY19. But between these two large private sector corporate lenders, we are relatively more bullish on Axis Bank compared to ICICI Bank. Both have made significant moves in terms of what management change. Both have made significant moves in terms of their own liability franchises over the past few years. So there are a lot of things that are going for the franchisees, as long as the management change can be handled well, as long as that transition is handled well. We believe there is upside in both corporate lenders, but we are relatively more bullish on Axis Bank. Yeah, we are far more constructive.
Krishnan, while there is that elbow room that Chanda Kochhar may actually come back if the inquiry does spell clean for her, is that a situation that the market would like, or would the market be much happier if it's Mr. Bakshi who continues on board and eventually does take over as the CEO?
So I think the market will look for an MD and CEO that comes with no baggage around past conflicts of interest, right? So to that extent, if an external probe, as it is headed by Justice B. N. Sri Krishna, if that was to give the incumbent CEO a clean sheet, the market would more or less welcome that as well. So all you need is to be able to put this baggage behind. All you need is to be able to put these distractions behind. Are you able to take a clean break from all these allegations of conflicts of interest, etc.? So to that extent, anything that helps clean up the image of the bank in the eyes of investors and shareholders should be welcome. I mean, I don't think the personality by itself matters. As I said, if you give the incumbent CEO a clean sheet, that's also fairly credible. It's a fairly credible outcome coming from a fairly credible panel.
We leave it at
Independent panel.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. I think they want a fresh start, and stakeholders are perhaps right in expecting so. Thanks very much, Krishnan, for joining us and giving us more perspective on this developing story. We'll still have to hear more from the ICICI board as we go along.